All right, it's noon. I'll go ahead and get started. We are recording, so if anybody hops in a few minutes or a few seconds late, I don't imagine there'll be anything too pertinent to you in the first few seconds other than me saying hello and welcome. So I am Dr. Reed. I am the program director for the Master of Science in Industrial and Systems Engineering, but I don't want to say that a bunch of times, so you'll hear me say MSISE, and so you should hopefully know what I mean when I say that. And I specifically do program direct the online students in the online courses. Miss Leanne, who is the assistant director for engineering graduate programs, is usually in these info sessions and just could not join us today at this time. But I will leave her name and contact info on here for you all if you come to U of L, and specifically in our program, you will be interacting with her a lot. So it's good to have that contact info. We also have Charlie here, who is, please tell me if I'm wrong, an enrollment counselor, correct?
Yes, you're correct.
Yeah. So I'll do my best to answer all your questions. I'll have answers to most of your questions. If Charlie and I don't have the answer, then we will follow up with you afterwards. I'll probably follow up with Leanne just to make sure I have the right answer. But the goal of today is to just give you as much pertinent information to you as someone who's interested in our program about U of L, about Speed School, and the Master of Science in ISE online. And so hopefully my slides are sharing correctly and you see this intro slide here. I'm going to try to navigate to my right screen to advance us forward here. So the first question you may have, good, thank you, Jordan, been asking about is why get a master's degree, why to get a master's degree in industrial and systems engineering. And there are multiple answers I could give you, but one of the big answers is because of the flexibility, versatility, and adaptability that it gives you. So industrial and systems engineers, or ICs, really work all over the place. They work in manufacturing, they work in banking and finance, they work in the entertainment industry, in the defense and military industry, supply chain. I'm sure we've all heard the term supply chain and logistics, very heavy in that field. Pretty much in every field you can think of, and in multiple capacities, even within those fields, right? We have multiple areas of disciplines, which I'll get into a little bit later, but you might be interested in something like human factors and designing for the human in the system and making sure that the work works for the person doing the work, for example. And that's just one small part of that. There's the whole logistics and supply chain side of things. There's manufacturing methods, there's data analytics, and we'll talk about a lot of those things when I get to the coursework. But what role you really want to do in your career, what industry you want to be in, ISE gives you the ability to pivot into those areas with a variety of different skill sets. And that's just one of the reasons I like to highlight industrial systems engineering for folks. And you don't need to come into this being a logistics expert. You don't need to come into this being a manufacturing expert, a human factors expert. That's what the program's for, to teach you about some of those things. Are we going to get you to expert level? We're going to make you proficient and give you that stepping stone to really start your career in any one of those fields, right? And you don't even need to have an engineering background to apply. We have a good variety of non-engineering background from their undergrad students that apply to our master's program, and they seem to do well based on some preliminary data analysis. The primary prerequisite we're going to look for is, do you have Calculus 1? Can you do calculus? Can you show that you've successfully completed a Calculus 1 course? That shows us that you have what it takes to go through the quantitative reasoning and the quantitative rigor in our coursework. One of our core courses, and we only have a couple of core courses that you need to take, that you're required to take, is probability and statistics, and you will need some Calculus 1 to get through that course. And then that itself is a prerequisite to a number of other courses in our program. You have a few options to take care of this if you don't already have Calculus 1 on your transcripts from an undergraduate program or just from some other program that you've enrolled in. You can take it here at U of L, though I've generally heard it be advised that that's not the best option. It's an option. Some students want to do all their coursework at U of L, and so if that's your goal, that is an option. There are a couple online options. The one we tend to steer applicants towards is this Straighterline website. It's a very cost-effective option to get a Calculus 1 course on your transcript. And it's a very do-it-at-your-pace course. So you can do that course. You can start it when you're ready and finish it when you get it finished. There's also the community and technical college system here in Kentucky that hosts a Calculus 1 course that you can also complete. So you have a few options. I would always suggest advising with me as an applicant to say, hey, I'm thinking of taking this Calculus 1 course here. Do you think that would be applicable do you think that would help my application to the program? I could tell you one way or the other because I'm going to be the one that reviews it. So that's the primary, prerequisite course-wise. You don't need to have an engineering background or even a math background, but you do need to show proficiency in calculus. ISE as a discipline has had a pretty good, and this is the most recent versions of these reports that I've referenced, and they get updated very often. But they've had a very good most recent update in both of these reports. So the one on the left I want to highlight is job ranking. Now, job ranking is a very generic, phrase for me to say. So let me dive into that a little bit and tell you what that means. So according to U.S. News and World Report, they gathered a lot of data, a lot of information about a lot of jobs, and there are several factors that go into this. One of them being the number of available jobs projected into the future. And so for industrial systems engineering, they ranked it the #1 best engineering job. Again, across several factors, not just number of jobs. That includes job satisfaction. From the industrial systems engineer's perspective, how satisfied are they with their job, work-life balance, jobs available, and so many other factors. I can't list them all. Amongst STEM jobs, ranked 11th, and in overall, best 100 overall jobs, ranked 19th. That's all pretty good stats for industrial systems engineering. And I gave you the link there if you want to go check out this report yourself. There's a lot more information in the link. You can check out all those factors and be more informed. The other side of this is that job growth, which this is another source. This is the Bureau of Labor Statistics, but they project and they update this I don't know how often they update it, but the last time I had this, it was from 2023 or 2022, 10 years forward. So this is from 2024, 10 years forward into 2034. They project all job occupations to grow about 3%. That makes sense. Engineering jobs to grow about 7%, showing that they beat the average across the job market in general. And ISEs and IEs, because there are both out there. Our program used to be an industrial engineering program. It is now an industrial and systems engineering program, which I can talk about a little bit what that difference means and what it means for our program and the discipline. But IEs and ISEs have a general projected job growth of 11%. So we even outperform engineering discipline in general, even more so than the job market broadly. So those are two really good things working for industrial systems engineers or industrial engineers in the job market. So you're very marketable for what I talked about before on versatility and for this here on job growth. Okay, so that's a degree in our field in general, why you should consider it. You may have come to some of these conclusions, and that's what led you here in the first place. If you come to our program, we do have two pathways. You're here primarily for the online, I presume, but just so you have your situational awareness, there are two pathways within our master's program. 100% online, meaning you can finish it in Louisville, in Texas, in California, in Pennsylvania, wherever you're coming from. If you're in the online program, it's 100% online asynchronous courses. Every course is 8 weeks long. So there's 3 semesters in the year, right? Spring, summer, fall. And within each semester, there's 2, we call them halves. I need to update this slide. They're not called terms. They're called halves. So you have a first half and a second half. And those 2 8-week halves butted up against each other gives you your 16-week semester. So typically what students will do, they might take 1 class per half, which gives you 6 classes per year, which means you finish in about a year and a half. If you ever need to take a break, although we get a lot of military students, active duty. So you may need to take a break for an assignment. That's fine. That might extend you out to 2 years if you're doing one course at a time. Or if there's just nothing offered in the summer that you want to take as an elective and you don't take it in the summer, then you're just going to be taking courses in fall and spring. That might take you a little bit longer. You can, however, take up to 12 credit hours per semester. And with 2 halves in a semester, most of our courses, all of our internal courses are 3 credit hours each, which is what gives you 10 courses to take. You can finish in as little as a year. I don't tend to market that out. That's why it's not on the slide, because most students don't take that path. But if you were to take the maximum of 2 courses per half, then you'd be done in about a year, maybe a little less than a year with a lighter course load in one semester. But that's about how it works out. Within your coursework in the online program, you have 3 focus areas you can choose. You don't have to choose one. You can be more of a generalist and take a little bit of courses here, here, and here to build your degree. But data analytics and operations research is one of those focus areas if that interests you. There's logistics and supply chain, and there's human factors. On the on-campus side of the program, that is all on campus, in person, those 16 weeks, it says 15 weeks. It's like 15 to 16 week courses. Same timeline to finish. You do have the benefit of being on campus and seeing your fellow classmates face to face in classes. And you do have access to a 4th focus area, which is the advanced manufacturing, which we at this time cannot quite offer online until we get all the courses available in an online format. So those are kind of the distinctions. They are, for the most part, the same program. You have access to the same courses offered usually at the same time. Just online courses are 8 weeks and on-campus courses are 15 to 16 weeks. And you have the same degree requirements between both programs as well, and same admission standards. Regardless of which online or on-campus part of the program you're in, there are 3 course plan options, I'll call them. There's the course only. You're just going to take 30 credit hours, which if you took all ISC courses would be 10 classes, 10 courses, because they're each 3 credit hours. Our department does also have the engineering management master's program, which is an MEng degree rather than an MS, Master of Science degree. And the only reason I mention that is there are 2 courses that are 1.5 credit hours each, but they're a pair of courses that are meant to go together. They're actually co-requisites. You have to take both of them. You can't just take one or the other. But that is typically the best course plan option for the online students. Most of you all are working full time, and you're not on campus to build those relationships with students and faculty. Not to say you can't do the other 2 options, but I have yet to advise a student who has chosen one of the other 2 options. Even students who start the program and think they're going to do project or thesis, pretty much all of them for me have went the course only route. We'll talk about those on a case-by-case basis if that interests you, and I will advise you accordingly if that's what interests you, if we can make it work. Just know that the course only option is what most students do, and it works for most students. Project-based and thesis-based typically will wait till you've taken a semester or 2 of classes so you can get a feel for our ISE coursework, see if you can find something that really interests you, and see if you can find a faculty to sponsor your project or your thesis, meaning they will be your advisor on your project or be your advisor on your thesis. But again, we would talk more about that as a student. We can even do more about that in the Q&A if needed. Sorry, got distracted. Get distracted so easily. At U of L in our program, this is a breakdown of those 3 focus areas for the online program. Like I said, you can choose one and kind of select your courses from within that focus area, or you can spread it out and get a little bit from each. You could even really pursue multiple focus area. The way we use focus areas, it's not like a concentration, whereas a concentration would be something you would see on your degree. A focus area is a guide for you to select your courses. So you only need to take at minimum 9 credit hours within a focus area to claim it. which just lets you say, I have an MSISE degree with a focus in human factors or with a focus in manufacturing or supply chain logistics or otherwise. Yeah, and we'll talk more about those when I get to the coursework. But while you are pursuing your degree, you can also pursue some certificates along the way. And we allow you to stack certificates, meaning if you complete one of these certificates on the right, the coursework's all going to apply to your MSISE degree. So if you get the Healthcare Systems Engineering certificate because you complete the 9 credit hours of coursework needed for that, that 9 credit hours is also going to apply to your MSISE degree. And you could start working on another certificate, say engineering logistics. And then you'll have 18 credit hours once you finish both of those. All 18 credit hours are going to apply towards your 30 credit hours for your degree. Now, there is some overlap on classes between, for example, the engineering logistics and analytics for engineering decision making. So we got to be smart in which classes we apply to which certificate so that you can pursue both of them. So that's why it's best for us to figure this out at the beginning of your degree plan. And I will advise each one of you individually. We'll do group advising for everybody, but then each one of us individually will choose what is your degree path look like. So when you start here, when we start advising with you as a student, when I started advising with you as a student and not just an applicant, we will build out a degree plan for you that meets your needs and your schedule. So that means how many classes are you taking at a time? When are you taking them? Which classes are you taking? Which certificates, if any, are you going to pursue? You don't have to pursue any of them. Which focus areas interest you? All that good stuff. And I'll have some tools and some worksheets that help organize all that I'll share with you and we'll work on together at me as your primary academic advisor. And then I have a couple others listed on here, Six Sigma and data science from computer science. Those are not within our degree program, but the courses you take for those certificates would also apply to your degree. So that's why I have them listed on here. Six Sigma comes from the engineering management program, which again is part of our department, the ISE department. It's just a different master's degree program within our department. Yeah, and because the certificates are 9 credit hours each, you could stack up to 3 certificates towards your degree along the way. Before I move on, one caveat I'll mention is if you come into our department as a non-degree seeking student only seeking a certificate, which you can do, please keep in mind that you'll have to take that core course I mentioned earlier, the probability and statistics course, as a prerequisite to some of the classes in some of these certificates. So these are really designed as a way to build up to your degree as you're completing it. So you could be a degree seeking student, grab ISE 560, complete that, and then work towards your certificates. If you're just a certificate seeking student, we'll talk about that individually or during the Q&A after. Okay, so this is the curriculum within the ISE department and how you're going to finish your degree. So there's a lot of information on this page. Let me go into teacher mode here because I do teach a lot of classes and do some annotations here. Up here at the top, your MSISE cores that I'm circling in red. Those are the courses you are required to take to complete your degree. You have to take these courses. There's no subs or otherwise. Now, there are special cases for one or two of these classes if we need to sub it out, but those cases do not come up very often. Probability and statistics for engineers, ISE 560. That course is your foundational course and will be a prerequisite for a lot of other courses. That's 3 credit hours. That's offered year-round, whether you start in summer, fall, or spring. It's offered in the first half of every semester, which leads me to need to make one mention real quick about when you start our program. You can start in the first half or second half of any semester. We admit year-round. Just be aware that if I admit you into our program in a second half start date, you will have to find some technical elective class to take in that second half because 560 is only offered in the first half. And some of the courses you might take in the second half within our department might require that as a prerequisite. So just keep that in mind when you're thinking about when you want to start. 664, experimental design and engineering, has a prerequisite of 560, so you tend to take 560, then 664. 664, experimental design, or DOE, design of experiments, as I call it, because I was a student at U of L 15 years ago, all the way through to a couple years ago. I was a student for a long time, and we used to call it design of experiments. But anyway, design of experiments is a follow-up. That one's only offered once a year in the spring, so you will have to take classes at least in the spring to complete this degree. The system engineering course is a new course. It is not currently offered. It's not complete yet. It is planned to be offered, I believe, fall of 27. Do not hold me to that. I know this is on a recording and I can't go back on it now, but it is offered in the future at some point. And once it is started to be offered, it will become a required class for the degree. Until then, that's just here as kind of like a look into the future for you all. So once you've taken your 6 or 9 core courses, that's 2 or 3 core courses, that's 6 to 9 credit hours. Now you have 21 credit hours remaining for your degree. Here's what that's going to look like. You can choose a focus area, whether it's human factors, data analytics, or logistics. Let's just say human factors because I'm a human factors guy. That was what my focus in PhD was, so I'm just gonna use that as an example. You see 5 courses here, each 3 credit hours. You don't have to take all 5 to claim the focus area. You only need to take 3 at 3 credit hours each to reach that 9 credit hours. So let's say you take your 9 credit hours. Now you're at 6 from your core courses and 9 from your focus area, which if I was always told to never do math in public, but I feel confident in adding 9 plus 6. Now we're at 15 credit hours. The remaining 15 credit hours of your degree, look over here on the right, if you choose the course-only option, is having you take, this is showing 12 because it's accounting for systems engineering in the program. But if system engineering is not part of your degree plan, then we're looking at 15 credit hours of technical electives. So half of your degree doesn't have to be ISE courses. It can be. You can take only ISE courses and finish your degree. And I've advised several students that have done that. If you're gonna pursue 2 or 3 certificates along with your degree, you're going to be taking mostly ISE courses. But you can take courses in the engineering management department or program rather, which is in our department, and a lot of students do that. There are other speed school online courses that some students take. Some students manage to take on-campus courses if they are nearby. We have some Louisville, Kentucky students, and yes, that is the correct way to say Louisville for those that don't know. But they will take some on-campus courses if they're graduate credit. There are some non-speed school, non-engineering courses that we approve on a case-by-case basis. I do have a list of pre-approved classes I've approved in the past, but generally we handle those on a case-by-case basis. So that gives you an idea of what your degree is going to look like. You're going to have 2 core courses as of now. You're going to have maybe 3 in a focus area or more if available and desired. And then the remaining will be technical electives, which could be ISE courses, non-ISE courses, or a mix. But it all adds up to 30 credit hours or about 10 classes most of the time. There are scholarship opportunities available for students in our program. These are merit-based scholarships. We offer them on a semester-by-semester basis. So if you apply for scholarship in fall, that doesn't mean you're going to get it again in spring. You have to apply again in spring. And they're merit-based and they are competitive, so you do need to apply each time you want the scholarship. The scholarships are available to students who pay the full tuition rate of $850 per credit hour. If you are not paying that credit hour rate, that means you're already receiving some kind of assistance or benefit, and so we don't offer scholarship in that case. There's an online form you just have to fill out. The link is here, and you'll also be sent this link again when you are admitted to the program. If you are currently a U of L student, which sometimes we do get some undergrad U of L students that come into our online program. I know a couple right now off the top of my head. And you are receiving those scholarships like trustees or Porter scholarships. You can also use those toward your MSISE degree if your scholarship allows for it. And that's all the presentation I have for you all today. Thank you so much for being here. You see my name and contact info there. I am your primary academic advisor as the program director of the MSISE online program. You have my email there. You can always reach out to me if it's questions about the program or the application process or what's needed. I've worked with several students this month, really, on application logistics. And then that is Miss Leanne Ellis, who is, like I said, the assistant director for the graduate programs in Speed School. And she'll handle a lot of the application questions, registration questions, degree auditing when you get close to finished. There's her email as well. I encourage you, if you have any questions between now and when you apply to our program, just CC both of us on the email. You're likely to get a faster response. But yeah, that's all I have planned to present. The remainder of this time is just left for Q&A. Anybody who has any questions, specific questions, or general questions, I'm here for till 1 o'clock. Thank you all for listening attentively. Oh, and it looks like the presentation has been provided in the chat. So the slides that I've presented you here, I think that's what that PDF file is that Charlie has uploaded for me. And yeah, you can come off mute to ask the question, or you can type it in the chat as someone seems to be doing right now. Either way will work. I'll just read the chat questions off as they come in. And if you want to, you can even turn your video on to ask questions. I love seeing faces. As the online program director, it just makes my day if I get to see your face, because I usually just see a name, and as you all see, a bunch of initials.
Hey there, sir. This is Jordan. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. So, just as you said, you get a lot of military through. I'm one of those people. And so I'm looking at doing this just with the assignment that we're getting next. And to confirm, I would be using the military TA rates, and so I would not be eligible for further scholarship opportunities, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and that's no problem. And then another question too is I'm keenly interested on getting my PE. I have a bachelor's in mechanical engineering, and I've already done my FE.
Okay.
Congratulations. Thank you. It was a requirement. Otherwise, they demoted our grades 10%. And so, do these classes count towards like PE licensure? I know some states will decouple or do things like that. Have you ever heard of that happening, or if these degrees qualify, or like is there any further like ABET accreditation? I'm just unfamiliar with that from masters.
So, do our classes? I don't know the answer to the question, but I will get you an answer. Do our classes, what exactly count as credit towards?
Yeah, count towards like, I guess what I see for like a PE requirement is like the 4 years of experience. And what I've seen in the past, maybe it's more of a recent thing, is that 2 years of that can be can be accredited to a master's degree, and then the other 2 years can be experience under a licensed PE. And so that's what I am wondering about. That might be more of a question for the board itself, the licensing board, but I don't know, just wasn't sure.
Yeah, that makes sense to me when you said the 4-year part. I don't know the exact answer to that. My suspicion would be it would. We are accredited through SACS, SOC, the graduate program accreditation thing. So yeah, I don't know if it matters if it takes you. I mean, I would imagine it wouldn't matter if it takes you 1 year or 2 year to complete the program. You would still get 2 years of credit, right? I would think. But I have that written down here to follow up with you. I'll get you an answer to that. You're right. It might be a question for the PE board if they accept this particular degree towards that. I just don't know. If I remember correctly, the FE is the more of the general exam, and the PE specializes in your field. So would you be taking the PE like a mechanical PE or?
That would be my plan. Yeah, it just makes more sense.
Yeah, so
For
that
where
might be
I'm
another
at.
question to think about. Does an ISE master's degree count as 2 years for your mechanical PE license? That I don't
That's a
know.
good point, sir. Okay. Yeah, that's more. I can do some more research on that on my part too. Thank you.
Yeah, but I'll try to follow up with Leanne on that question. If you want to send me an email with that question, and you can CC me and Leanne on the email, that will make me even more certain to answer that question for you.
Too easy. Thanks, sir.
Because I think I do have your email, so I can also email you even if you don't email me. But you emailing me makes it more likely I email back.
I'll email you. That's the way it works in the military too. You email it, and it's more likely to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for the question. Okay, so there's some chat questions. Let me address those. Is there a higher connection between your HF focus and healthcare compared to HF and other industries? Do you work with hospitals, manufacturers for the program? Human factors focus. So a couple of our human factors courses are focused on healthcare industry topics. Let me go back to that slide. So you'll notice there's a quality of care and patient safety and health IT and clinician support. The other three courses are more broad human factors course. Usability engineering is, yes, more broad than just healthcare, but it is at least more focused on, the usability aspect of human factors, whereas the other two human factors, just by name are very much more general, intro to HF and advanced topics in HF. So there's wide applicability of HF principles taught in those courses to not just healthcare, aviation, manufacturing, safety, ergonomics. There's a work design course in our undergraduate program, which would fall under this category, but it's an undergraduate course, not a graduate course. So our human factors courses do have a broad scope. There are two that are more focused in healthcare. Do we work with hospitals, manufacturers for the program? If you mean in terms of how we develop the coursework, or if there's like facility tours, I'm not sure what focus you have on that last part of your question. We do have an industry advisory board. Some work in the healthcare field, and they advise our department in general. And so some of that gets into course material influencing, some of that gets into departmental direction influencing. But it gives us an industry perspective, so we're not just, sitting in our academic bubble and not looking outside at industry and figuring out what do we want to teach, how do we want to teach it, and what are the other opportunities and experiences we want to offer our students. If that does not answer the last part of your question, okay, to clarify, for projects or real life examples, partnerships. So in the usability course, which I took as a student on campus, I'm not sure how the online version translates, because sometimes there are some things that have to be tweaked for an online format. But at least for the on-campus, I did a project with a local company that I had worked for previously for that usability project. We actually worked on a new feature of their software program that they developed internally that I worked with as an employee with them. So from class to class, it depends on the instructor, but there are some project opportunities to work with real companies. And we do pull real life examples into, example problems, into test problems, into homework problems, things like that. Partnerships, I don't know how to answer that one necessarily. If that doesn't answer, feel free to type up another question, but I'll try to answer some of the others and come back to your reply if you have one. Kenya, thank you for looking forward to applying. I'm happy to hear that. I'll look forward to it coming through my queue so I can review it, and I would love to have you in our program. Francis, also from Kenya. Francis from Kenya, not to be confused with someone named Kenya. My apologies. You have applied for the program. Is it possible to get application fee waiver, or how should I go about it? I do not ever handle application fees or application fee waivers. I'm not sure what reasons are used to waive application fees. I'm trying to think of who to tell you to contact or who would even make that decision.
I will email them information.
Okay, great. Thank you, Charlie. See, I knew it. I knew you'd have the answers to the questions I didn't have answers to. So Francis, Charlie's going to email you answers to your question about application fees. Jory, hello. Do you guys offer any networking events for online students or recommend any networking events? That is a great question. That is something, as program director, I have been wanting to work on more opportunities to be engaged in the program. I know a lot of our online program students, you're working full time, you have families, and you're trying to work on your master's degree while you're doing all those other things and whatever other things you may be doing. So I've been trying to come up with ways to get involved. For example, the low-hanging fruit is anytime we have an event that I can just create a Teams link for and, share the event with you and you can attend virtually, I'm all about sharing those. That's one of the primary things I've been doing to improve those things. I know you're asking about networking events in particular, but this kind of plays into it as well. We do host in-person events on campus or in Louisville in general. Sometimes we'll go out to a local park and have, like a park picnic and kind of a fun outdoor informal activity day. Students love to play volleyball and cricket. We have a lot of cricket players and basketball, which is my sport. And there will be a meet and greet scheduled for next week, about a week from now. I have to finalize the details of that. But that's another networking event where everyone here in this info session is invited to come to this meet and greet, and I'll get that sent out. I have all of your emails. I can send that out to all of you. Where you can hear from, not me, you've heard from me enough today. Whether you like my voice or not, you don't have to hear from me at the meet and greet. You can hear from current students, and you can hear from maybe some recent alumni is my goal for that event. And so I'm telling you what I think about the program, what I think about the department. I'm a 3-time U of L Speed School alumni, so clearly I like it here. I work here now, letting them pay me instead of me pay them. And but you should hear from students. And so that's what the purpose of the meet and greet is for you to have a chance to hear from them directly. And some recent alumni. So we have some great current students and alumni who just absolutely love the program. I mean, you can feel their enthusiasm through emails. That's how enthusiastic they are about the program, which I love to see. And so I just want to connect you all who are thinking about applying or maybe have already applied with some of those folks so you can hear from them. I could probably sit and try to come up with a couple more examples, but hopefully that answers your question, Jory. The answer is yes. We do try to offer some of those events. If you are local, I can give you more answers of like local events, like career fairs we host on campus. I don't know if they host an online career fair. I don't think they do, but if that's something that's ever available, you can bet that I will be forwarding that link to the MSISE online student population here at U of L. Another question from Spencer says, is there a future where the advanced manufacturing focus is available online, or is there a hybrid option for local students? Unofficially, yes. Officially, I can't say when the advanced manufacturing focus area courses will be available. It comes down to a number of factors, whether faculty are available to teach that course, if the on-campus course option has been developed in an online format, and maybe a couple other reasons, but as of right now, it's just not available. I'm at least aware that we are working towards getting it up online and available. Some of the questions around that are also, do these courses make sense in an online format? Because some of them are very hands-on. And so there's questions about, well, how do we get the hands-on component to an online student population that's spread out not only across the country, but we have students in other countries that take our online program. And so we're working towards it. I don't have a timeline on it, unfortunately. If you are local and can make it to an on-campus course, you just need to consider a couple things. One, the online courses are 8-week format. The on-campus courses are the 15 to 16-week format. Can you commit to a 15 to 16-week course on campus and be in class? Because as an on-campus student, you are expected to be in every class. That doesn't mean we take attendance and we take roll call, but that does mean if something happens in class, you are responsible for knowing it. If there's an assignment given, you're responsible for knowing the due date and when and turning it in. If it's like a pop quiz in class and you aren't there to take it, that you were expected to be there. So those are the differences between the on-campus, very much fully synchronous courses versus the online, fully asynchronous, meaning doing it at your own pace. There are still some deadlines and due dates, but you were doing the content and stuff at your own pace at that point. So yeah, for a hybrid option, there are cases where students take on-campus courses. We just have to work through those details on a case-by-case basis. Okay, my chat keeps scrolling itself, so I'm going to try and figure out where I left off, because I think there was another question. Will a recording of this session be sent out? I joined halfway through due to work conflict. Absolutely, Ben. No worries. That's why we record it, because online student population is all over the place in terms of location, which means you're all over the place in terms of time. And so this recording is going to be chopped down because you don't want the first 30 minutes of me sitting here staring at the computer while I prepped for this. And that'll be made available. I don't know how the link is disseminated. Charlie, who's in here, may have the answer to how that's disseminated to everybody. But yeah, you'll be able to watch the recording.
Yes, we'll email it out to the email that you registered with after we've fixed the recording.
Yeah, that's the nicer way of saying it. Fix the recording. And to answer all the thank yous, you're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome. Thank you for being here. That's the more important thank you, that you're showing interest in our program. Timothy, yes, this is 100% a program for you if that is your only hesitation. Like I said before, and I'll go back to this slide just to reiterate it. Our only prerequisite for you, well, course-wise, our only prerequisite for you is a Calculus 1 course on your transcript. You do need to have the math background, the math knowledge to be able to do some of the quantitative reasoning in our courses. You do also need an accredited bachelor's degree, and I believe the website, so don't go based on what I'm about to say, go based on what the website says specifically, but I believe the website says an accredited bachelor's degree. It doesn't specify BS or BA or otherwise. It just says accredited bachelor's degree. And Calc 1 on your transcript. And there are GPA requirements. You need to be above a certain GPA. And whatever else is listed on the website. I think that's the majority of it, if not all of it. So yes, you don't have a background in logistics and supply chain? Great. Come to our program. We'll teach you about logistics and supply chain while you're getting your MSISE degree. And while I'm on this note, let me mention that back to this information on this slide here. To further answer Timothy's question, this is a way to pivot in your career. And I'll use a case example of a student that I just admitted to the program who she's working in healthcare. Obviously, I'm not going to say her name, but she's working in healthcare and she wants to stay in healthcare, but she doesn't like being on the healthcare professional side of it. She wants to be more of in the planning, process improvement, patient quality side of it. So this is allowing her to pivot in her career while staying in the same industry. That's one kind of pivot. Another pivot is, say you're working in manufacturing, but you really want to go to finance, or you want to go to the defense industry, or you want to go to the entertainment industry. That's a different kind of pivot, but that's also a pivot we can help you with this degree and show you how you can gain some skills that not only apply to where your current field is, but they're translatable to another field or another position within that field. So there's different ways to think about pivoting that this can help you with. I see another question being typed in the chat, but in the meantime, if anybody has any specific questions, again, feel free to come off mute if you can, and just ask. Do we partner with any companies for job placement? So there is a co-op and career center in Speed School that works with the students for the undergraduates for their co-op placements, but also for graduates in full-time position placement. So that's one resource for you. I just recently had a student email me wanting see if I could float his resume around, and I made a connection with him being soon to retire military with one of our industry advisory boards who is current military, current duty at Fort Knox here close to Louisville, and he's floating his resume out for him. And so, yes, on a case-by-case basis, I love to do that kind of stuff. On a more broad basis, we have our alumni network. If you want to reach out to the alumni network of our program, I can put you in contact with certain people if they're in the right place that you're looking at. That's one benefit of being in any program, right? Is you get access to that network of people. You have that connection now being in whatever program you go to. If you come to this one, it's our program. If you go to some other program, it's alumni of their program. I'm trying to think of anything else I could comment on related to that. Let me write that one down as a follow-up too. To see if I can get you a deeper answer to that question. Beyond everything I've presented to you about our program, this is normally something you do at the beginning, but I don't think you all need to hear about me more importantly than the program. I'll give you a little bit of my background. As I said, I'm a 3-time graduate of U of L Speed School, all in the Industrial Engineering Department, which is now the Industrial and Systems Engineering Department. Undergrad, master's, PhD. My focus was in human factors, and my advisor was Dr. Jason Salim, who teaches courses here still in the on-campus and online program. I now am a faculty member of this department that I've been a student of for longer than I want to admit. And I teach a number of on-campus and online courses. So not only will you be seeing me as your program director and your primary academic advisor, but you also have me in at least one course, if not multiple courses, during your time as a student. We have a very, very fantastic group of instructors that lead all of our online courses. Almost all of them I had as a student, or I was a student of on campus. The feedback I see from our online student program through the various feedback surveys we send out throughout the year, the things students really appreciate about our program: flexibility of the schedule of the 8-week courses. As I mentioned, it is fully online asynchronous, but there are still, maybe weekly due dates you still have to hit. But that was one thing. The other thing was the expertise that each instructor brought to the class in the form of the examples they give, their industry and other academic experiences and research experience, and well, I had it on the top of my head and it escaped me. Yeah, so the expertise and the flexibility in the schedule were two of the big things. I've seen comments students make about the credit hour rate, because we do offer a slightly lower credit hour rate than other programs or departments or schools or whatever. Yeah. If there aren't any more questions, in the chat or anybody wants to come off mute, again, I'll leave this up, but you have the slides in the chat here. Please do reach out to me if there's anything that's maybe you're hesitant on or you're unsure of, and we can talk through it. I've met with several potential applicants to our program and help them work through the thought process of, is this the right program for me? Is this going to help me do what I want to do? And that answer isn't always yes. And I'll tell you if I don't think it's yes, but most of the time I think it's yes. That's just my honest opinion, not just because I'm the program director of the program. I want you to go to the program that's right for you, if any. So yeah, I'll stick around. If there's nothing else, you've been free to leave since we started. You don't have to be here. I'm glad you are here. If you are local, feel free to schedule a time to come meet with me in person in this lovely office. It's a little bigger than it looks on the camera. But yeah, love seeing people in person if we have the option to do that.
Got another question, sir. Can you hear me?
Yep. Yes.
Okay. This is Jordan. So just like, this is a very vague question, but you said you've met and accepted like military applicants. What are some of the reasons you believe University of, I always say Louisville. Sorry, it's not the correct way, but
That's okay.
I'm from South Dakota, so I don't have an accent. I can't say anything right. But what are the reasons why a lot of military applicants come your way? Like I found your program through just the TA rates just make a lot of sense and like what I'm looking for. But are there any other specific things you can think of?
Yeah, specifically from the active duty students that we have that I hear from, they appreciate the 8-week schedule, the flexibility to say, I can't take a class this semester because of my new orders that came out last week that I have to get ready to leave for like next week. And they can do that. I can speak for myself, but the general impression I get from the students of all the other faculty that teach online classes is that they're very accommodating, and we understand with a large active duty or military population, student population, there are sometimes accommodations you just need to offer, like something unexpected comes up and you don't have internet for an extended period of time, and that extends beyond active duty military students, because I'll give you one case, one example. I had a student one semester and in one class had a student in Alaska and a student in Ecuador at the same time. So like not only figuring out like when to offer things so that both of them could access them, but the student in Ecuador was experiencing unexpected like rolling blackouts. And so like I can't say, oh, I'm sorry you chose to live in a country that has unexpected rolling blackouts right now.
Yeah.
Sorry about your luck. No, I'm accommodating and say, oh yeah, totally. Just get it to me when you can. So those type of just one-on-one case-by-case accommodations, I think there's a general sense of like working with the students. We're very student focused, and that's not just a buzzword to make people think we're student focused. I think we do things like that show that we're student focused.
Yeah.
And I think the university in general has I can't remember what it's actually called because I'm not a part of that, but Leanne knows it very well. She's got a lot of military in her family, but she's very proud of this designation, like a gold star military student and military affiliated student status, which means like, spouses of military who are our students, which is something we are very proud of earning on a consistent basis. And there's a Center for Military Connectedness at the university that I've had at least a few students that have used their services, and they tell me that it's a great center that is very understanding of what military students need to be successful as a student. So a collection of all those things. There's probably more things I could mention, but hopefully that gives you an insight into that.
Absolutely does. Thank you. Another question I have too is with all of the AI stuff going on right now, I'm sure you get a lot of questions on it, but
of course,
how secure do you think, like, especially like an MS, like in the sphere of like program, like how safe, how secure is it? Like, it just seems like that's the question everyone's asking, like, what is my degree worth if it can be automated?
Right. Yeah. I think I have some personal thoughts on that. I don't know that I'd speak from. Let me step down from my program director lectern before I give you an answer to that.
I'm happy to hear the personal thoughts on it if you're willing to share.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah,
I think number one, I think the general population understanding of what AI is not what AI is, right? It's not Terminator, it's not Skynet. Um, at least not yet. Who knows if it ever gets there? I'm
yeah,
skeptical just because I use it a lot and deal with it a lot, and the issues it has are still wide, and there are still things that people do better than AI. And there are things that AI does better than people, right? It's just they're two different sources to get the job done that are better at different jobs. I think a lot of people were worried about, and I don't say this to like dog them, it's just what a lot of people I hear were worried about is like computer science, computer engineering degrees with AI, because
yeah,
when AI can code AI code, that becomes a little bit of a concern. I look at and we try to teach, um, and AI is definitely really evolving right now. So getting this into the coursework is still very fresh and new. But using AI as a tool, just like when calculators came out, and I don't know what you were told when you were in grade school, but when I was going through grade school, it was you don't need to rely on the calculator because you're not going to have a calculator in your pocket. And now what do I have in my pocket all the time? A supercomputer that's much more than a
yeah,
calculator. Now I have an AI chatbot in my pocket, so to speak. So
yeah.
I think it's a tool that we need to learn how to incorporate and use rather than just be scared of it and say, oh, it's going to completely automate everything. And it really depends on the company, right? A company might look at AI and say, I'm going to automate everything with this, and that might bite them in the butt. Honestly, that's my personal,
Mhm.
these are all personal opinions, actually. And there might be companies that figure out the smart, right way to implement AI where it enhances the work they're doing and enhances their employees' work that they're doing and allows them to do more
Yeah,
important work. So, in short, I think the degree is still valuable in an AI world context, and learning how to use the tool and becoming aware of the tool is more important than um, the tool itself. I think because it can be, any
that's
tool can
true.
be misplaced. I
Yeah,
always use the hammer and screw analogy. Would you drive a screw with a hammer? You might try to. It might take you a while, but it's not the best tool for the job.
yeah. Great analogy. But
Yeah,
thank you though for the insight and just like thoughts on that too. I
sure.
know everyone's thinking about some of that stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think it's critical that we try to include it in our coursework, which
Hmm.
is what we're currently working on, right? I'm involved on a committee that's specifically looking at that. And so, yeah, it's very important. It's the next new uh, defining tool, just like the calculator was, just like computers were, just like VR tried to be. That was my research focuses in VR. So it saddens me that it's not quite the thing that it needs to be, but you know, yeah.
Hmm. And then, sorry, one last question that just came to mind. If we are enrolled in the online program, but for some reason, like military-wise, stationed close, is there an option to go on campus, maybe at like a night class or something like that ever? Or is it like once we commit to online, it should remain online? Because I value community and being like just in person and teaching, but what does that look like?
I do believe the online students can enroll in on-campus courses. The on-campus
Okay.
courses are going to typically be during the day, not during the night.
Yeah.
There are some later in the day on-campus courses, but the course times are generally scheduled for your typical on-campus undergraduate student or master
Of
student.
course.
Um, Night courses that are available tend to be probably not in our department. Maybe the EM courses in our department in the EM program, they might. Well, they're all online classes, so I shouldn't say that. You might be able to find some technical electives that might be night courses, but those are only going to be part of your degree, right? So if you're trying to
Okay. Yeah.
supplement part of your degree with that, maybe I do agree. I like that you value the community aspect of it. I do too, which is why I try to look for ways to do that for the online
Mm.
cohorts. But
Okay.
yeah, let's see.
I know it's kind of a finicky thing to ask and to try to wrangle into the adult schedules of life, but
It's valuable if you can swing it. I agree.
Yeah. Thank you. Though,
And
for
I would,
answering that.
yeah, and I'm going to do a little more digging on just to see if there's an answer beyond what I gave you. I don't think there is, but just in case there is, I'll do some more digging.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that, sir.
Yep. And then there was a couple of questions in the chat I'll address real quick before I wrap up. If we wanted to schedule a one-on-one meeting, absolutely. Just I'm pointing at the screen, but you don't see what I'm pointing at. Just email that email. You'll get to me. Email me. You can email Leanne. You can email both of us. But if you have questions about the program, I'm the best bet. If you have questions about the application registration process, Leanne's your best bet. But yeah, I meet with prospective students all the time. I don't know what my convert rate is because I don't track that. I'm sure my boss wishes I did, but yeah, my job is to lead this online program, but my desire is to get you in the right program. So if this is the right program for you, I want you in it. If it's not, I'm going to tell you I don't think it is. If you say you want to go be a cattle farmer, I'm not going to tell you to get our degree program unless I can figure out a way for ISE skills to help you as a cattle farmer, which I probably could. But I think you get my point. Sometimes I try to be funny and it's not funny, but you can't bat 1,000. I'm currently a federal government employee with no industrial experience. Have you had anyone in this program with a similar circumstance? If by industrial, you mean industrial engineering, industrial systems engineering, or just industry experience. Yeah, as I said earlier, all backgrounds welcome. So if you don't have an ISE background, you don't even have an engineering background, we still want you. I've admitted undergrads history, undergrads in biology, undergrads in so many things. If you can handle the quantitative rigor of the coursework, you can do our program. That's my general philosophy and my general opinion. And I have some data to back that up, but it needs more work. So yeah, if you don't have any industry experience, I don't see that being a problem for our program. If anything, our program will better prepare you to go into industry if that's something you want to do. So either way you meant that question, hope that answers it. I think we're at time, 1 o'clock, and I don't want the recording to be too long. So I'll wrap this up. If you do have any follow-up questions, again, please just feel free to email me. We can even set up a time to chat for like 5, 10, 15 minutes. Although I say that, it never ends up being 5, 10, 15 minutes. It always ends up being at least 30 minutes, but I'm happy to do it if that's what you need to help you make the decision of whether this program is right for you or not. But thank you all for coming, the 5 of you that remain and the however many that were here beforehand. As I said, if you ever want to come back and reference this information, there will be a recording sent to your email that you registered with. You have access to these slides in the chat here. You have my email. If for some reason you can't access either of those things, just email me and I'll get you access to them. But thanks for coming, and we'll wrap this up. Everybody have a great rest of your day.
Thank you as well.
Thank you, Jordan.